So look at Anthony Ryder from South Lyon, Michigan, recently selected as the Lions 2020 Fan of the Year. He has a passion about sports broadcasting.
With the 112th selection in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Amon-Ra St. Brown, wide receiver, USC. One pride, baby! Yeah!
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Detroit Lions video. Now, the Detroit Lions find themselves in a very unique situation that not very many teams have ever been in before. The Lions, currently sitting at 5-7, have the opportunity to run the tables and make the playoffs. If they run the table, win their last 5 games, they will finish 10-7 on the NFL season, likely clinching a playoff berth in the process. However, the Lions also have an opportunity to claim a top 5 pick, which isn't necessarily an abnormal thing, right? A lot of teams have the opportunity when they're sitting right around that 4-7, 5-7 mark. They can either lose out and have 5 wins and get in the top 10, or they can win out and potentially make the playoffs. However, the Lions have an opportunity to do both in the same season and end up with a playoff berth and a top 5 selection. Now, as we all know, of course, 2 years ago at this point, the Detroit Lions made a blockbuster trade that shook up the NFL, sending quarterback Matthew Stafford to the Los Angeles Rams in return for quarterback Jared Goff, a 3rd-round pick and 2 first-round picks in 2022 and 2023, respectively. Now, of course, Matthew Stafford went on to win a Super Bowl with the Los Angeles Rams. They went on and they are currently the reigning Super Bowl champions. However, this year is a little bit of a different story. The Lions currently hold the 4th overall pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, courtesy of those reigning champions. The Rams are currently sitting at 3-8 on the NFL season and do not look to be getting any better. Matthew Stafford is on IR, Cooper Kupp is on IR, and Aaron Donald very well could be following suit at this point. All of the stars are injured. The record is showing the Rams are not a very good team this year, and the Lions own that 1st-round pick. So today we are going to be talking about this particular situation for the Lions and why it may be the perfect situation to have the Lions become a playoff contender and then add a 1st-round pick within the top 5 on top of that. So, starting off with the Detroit Lions. The Lions currently sit at 5-7 after a dominating victory of the Jacksonville Jaguars this past weekend by a score of 40-14. The Lions have won 4 of their last 5 games, with the only loss coming on a last-second field goal by the current Super Bowl favorite Buffalo Bills. Now, the Detroit Lions, despite losing that very close game to Buffalo, have looked really, really good over the past month or so of football, as I said, winning 4 of 5 contests in that time span. Since that time, they have beaten the Green Bay Packers and the Chicago Bears, both of whom are division rivals. They have upset the now 7-4-1 New York Giants, as well as last week defeating the Jacksonville Jaguars in dominant fashion. Now, the Lions' remaining schedule this season consists of the Minnesota Vikings next week, the New York Jets at New York, and then the Lions go to the Carolina Panthers before welcoming the Chicago Bears home at Ford Field and finishing the season at Lambeau versus the Green Bay Packers. Now, the Lions have already beaten Green Bay and Chicago this season, and the Lions, I think, have gotten better since those 2 games have been played. I think, they were kind of a okay team versus the Green Bay Packers. They got a little confidence. They then won a really close game versus Chicago in Chicago, which, again, I think the Lions have got better since. But since that victory, the Lions have dominated the Giants, they've dominated the Jaguars, and they went toe-to-toe with Super Bowl favorites. I think if the rematch is to come back around, I think that Green Bay and Chicago should both be victories for the Lions. They have already won games in that division, as well as, of course, as I said, they have gotten better since. And then in the Minnesota game, the only game in the division they have lost thus far in the season, they only lost by 4 points at Minnesota after a really poor defensive collapse without a lot of their star players. The Lions, again, since that Minnesota game, have gotten significantly better on defense and have gotten more explosive on offense. I think they should and could very well take the game versus Minnesota as well and finish the year 5-1 within the division. But even outside of the division, the Lions have a pretty favorable schedule moving forward. They go up and they travel to New York to take on the New York Jets. Of course, the Jets, I think, are the toughest team remaining on the Detroit Lions schedule and will be the team that gives the Lions the single most trouble for the remainder of the year. But that doesn't mean I don't think the Lions can win. The Lions are built to win in the cold. They are built to win these tough, grindy matchups. And if the Lions, and if any team really, is going to stack up well against the New York Jets, it's going to be the Detroit Lions, because the Jets win in the trenches. The Jets win with their defensive line. The Jets win by playing great defensive football, playing lockdown with their secondary and Sauce Gardner, and letting guys like Quinnen Williams and the rest of that front seven go after the quarterback. However, as we've seen this year, the Lions have won a lot of games and have actually dominated some of the league's best defensive lines, including, of course, the Washington Commanders, who have a ton of first-round picks and a lot of talent in that front seven. They dominated the Philadelphia Eagles in Week 1. They dominated the New York Giants. They dominated pretty much every defensive line they have played this season, and they have played some really, really good ones. So if the Lions want to win this game, and if the Lions are going into this game saying, okay, we can win this game, it's because they're going to win the trench battle. And if you can win the trench battle versus the New York Jets, you're probably going to win the game. That's what we saw with New England. It's what we saw with, I guess, New England both times, right? In every loss the Jets have sustained this season, it's because their pass rush hasn't got home, their defense hasn't been able to make enough plays, and their offense has not ever really been the reason that the Jets have won very many football games. So the Lions can put up a little... So if the Lions can score points and keep that trench play on their side, right, win that side of the ball and have our offensive line win against the Jets' defensive line, they could very well win that game as well. And then I think there's no reason the Lions shouldn't be able to beat the Panthers even in Carolina. So the path to finishing 10-7 isn't incredibly unrealistic. Will it happen? Probably not. The Lions will likely drop one, if not two games, finishing right around the 8-9 to 9-8 spectrum, which is still borderline playoff material. But where it really gets interesting is the Los Angeles Rams pick, as the Rams currently sit at 3-8, and as I mentioned, are currently without Stafford, Cooper Kupp, as well as Aaron Donald. Now, the Rams have a fairly tough schedule to finish as they face the playoff caliber Seattle Seahawks one more time. They just lost to them last Sunday in a really, really close battle, but they did lose to the Seattle Seahawks, as well as playing the Chargers, who may not be the best team in the AFC, but are certainly a team that are better and more capable of winning football games than the Los Angeles Rams with a backup quarterback and no Cooper Kupp and Aaron Donald on the defensive side. Now, on top of that, the Los Angeles Rams also finished versus the Denver Broncos, who have one of the top defenses in the NFL and likely will not give up very many points to the Los Angeles Rams. So if the Denver Broncos can win even just a little bit versus they could put up just a few points versus the Los Angeles Rams, they should be able to win that game, as well as Green Bay, who has gotten a little bit better, as we've mentioned before. They have won quite a few games, or not quite a few. They have won a few games of their own in high-scoring fashion. They should be able to take out the Los Angeles Rams. And then even the Las Vegas Raiders are a team that I think should be favored with their rushing attack against a very depleted Los Angeles Rams defense. The Rams very well could finish 3-14 on the season at the very best, but at best case scenario, I see the Rams winning maybe one more game this year without making some drastic change and without seeing the emergence of some very unforeseen players at this current position and in certain groups. So with that being said, a 3-win team is going to get you a top 3 pick, and a 3-win team very well could get you the number 2, if not the number 1 overall selection in the NFL draft. Meaning the Lions could go from being a playoff contender, right, knocking on the door of the playoffs at 8 to 9 victories, to adding maybe Jalen Carter to the defensive line, as well as maybe a late first-round corner or defensive back, if not quarterback of the future, and go into 2022 adding that kind of talent, adding that kind of player to an already playoff-capable roster, and truly elevating this team to the next level, catapulting them into the playoffs because of this Rams trade. So With that being said, that is really all I wanted to talk about today. That is kind of the unique situation that the Detroit Lions are in, and really the very capable and very, even I would say, likely scenario that the Lions end the season knocking on the playoffs and picking in the top 5 because of this Los Angeles Rams deal. So with all that being said, that is all for you guys today. Kind of just wanted to update you on the situation, update you on the potential playoff push, as well as the potential top 5 pick that may be coming the Lions' way. So with all that being said, that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you all so much for watching. Let me know what player you would want the Lions to take if they so happen to finish within the top 5 as far as draft picks, and let me know how many wins do you think the Lions are going to finish with this season? Do you think they make the playoffs? Do you think they push for that wild card spot, knocking out the Commanders or the Giants, both of whom they've already beat? I'd be very curious what you guys think about that in the comments below. With all of that being said, it's all I got for you guys today. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, and as always, go Lions.